Johnny Morris, with the second account of his visit to America last October.
One thing about life in New York, it's never dull for a minute, providing you're not on your own. To be alone anywhere for any length of time is, of course, pretty miserable. But to be alone in New York is absolutely horrible. Well, that was my experience. I almost used to dread waking up in the morning. But it's entirely different when you're with people you know and like and generally get on with. This fantastic city to me is a different place altogether. I mean, even this old Scaresby Hotel is tolerable. By New York standards, the Scaresby Hotel is pretty big and pretty old. And it's reached a point in its life, I should say, where someone's either got to pull it together or pull it down. Well, if you leave a skyscraper to look after itself for too long, it starts to age and decay. And the decay starts almost unnoticed where it can't be diagnosed on the inside. That's what's happening to the Scaresby. Well, we've got door trouble. The old door lock has tumbled and clicked for so long, it's almost worn out. It's too tired to obey the brutal demands of the stern steel key. And so you have to fiddle the key carefully in the lock, like a burglar with a wire, feeling gently, trying to sense the exact place to flip the key over. Wait a bit, yeah, that's it. We were lucky that time. It can take up to 10 minutes before you can persuade the tumblers to tumble. Still, that's not much to put right, is it? One door lock. Ah, yes. But all the door locks were put in at the same time. And they've all worn out together. And there's hundreds and hundreds of them. Every corridor you walk down in the Scaresby, you'll find 3 or 4 crouching, cursing amateur burglars doing a bit of breaking and entering. And as I stand at the bedroom window on the 15th floor, looking out at that gigantic cemetery of skyscrapers, I can't help wondering what sort of shape they're all in. But at the moment, the Scaresby provides everything we need and lots of things we don't need. Well, not really. Well, every room has a television set and a radio. Yes, every room. A television set in a bedroom is as important as a bed. It's an interesting set, made of tin. A stout tin casing artistically grained to look like wood. But it works quite well. I always switch it on the moment I get out of bed in the morning, and I switch on the radio as well. Not that I can pretend to pay attention to both, but they make such a racket that they're sure to wake up Tubby Foster. Well, he's rather a heavy sleeper, and it's always interesting to watch him react in his sleep to the voice. That extraordinary radio voice.
We bring you the news every hour on the hour. It is 7 o'clock, and the temperature this morning in balmy downtown Manhattan is 63. The humidity is 66. The air pollution is down to 5. And the pollen count, by courtesy of the Jewish Hospital, Long Island, is 1.
Tubby Foster lifts his heavy lids.
What's the pollen count?
Just 1, by courtesy of the Jewish Hospital, Long Island.
They're not trying out there?
No, I don't think they are. They sent out that short-sighted pollen counter again this morning, the one with the thick glasses. He can't count pollen for pussy. Same old story every morning. I expect they say to him, right, how many pollens did you count this morning? Just 1. Just 1. Look, yesterday it was 1. The day before that it was 1. And the day before that. Last week you even came back twice with no pollen count at all. The count of the pollens was 0. Down to 0. Look, do us a favor, will you? Will you find some more pollens to count? Otherwise we've got nothing to be courteous about anymore. All the sneezers will be out of business. What's going to happen to all the dope we carry for hay fever? Look, couldn't you sneak up on a daisy or something and belt the hell out of it so we got some pollen for once? Hey, what do you say? Okay. No, the pollen count is really in a bad way.
Yes, it certainly is. What's the air pollution this morning?
Well, that's down to 5, I'm afraid.
Oh, well, we'll soon put that right.
And Tubby Foster lights his first cigarette of the day and sits in bed like an old railway engine, blowing at the signals. You know that smoking in bed carries a fine of $50, don't you?
Yes.
You'll finish up in Alcatraz, you know that, don't you?
Yes.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You know it's only crooks and the mafia that smoke in bed. That's why there's a fine of $50 for this despicable offense. Oh, I'd a good mind to call the cops. Oh, here they come. Yes, there go the cats and the gibbons, the police and the fire brigade. They've probably had a tip-off about some heel smoking a pipe in bed on Park Avenue, so watch it.
Yeah, I say, look at that.
Eh? What? Oh, that television. Oh, yes, that is good. Bright and early in the morning, and there's an advertisement for salt. I can see it quite clearly in the bathroom mirror as I shave. Now, how would you advertise salt? Yeah, salt. Ordinary table salt that you shake over your food. Well, you can only say that it's saltier, I suppose. Or that it makes a man of you. Or that women prefer men who wallop their chips with salt. No, that won't do. Old hat. This ad is scathingly scientific, and they have a slow-motion, highly magnified film to prove it. Well, did you know that salt bounces? Yeah, it bounces. Scientific tests have conclusively proved that salt bounces. Look, here's the film to prove it, coming up now. Someone shakes a salt sifter over a plate of T-bone steak and French fries. Of course, you can see it's quite useless. Under the microscope, you can see that the grains of salt just fall like big hailstones. A few of them land on your steak and French fries, but look at the rest of them. They're bouncing on the plate up and down and clean off the table. They do it again. Yes, it's fantastic. Over 3/4 of the salt that you shake out in your life bounces where you don't want it. What do you think of that? Straight off your plate, all over the floor, under the piano, into your turnips, all into the dog's dinner. I mean, it's disgusting. What would your neighbours think, Tubby, if they knew that not only did you smoke in bed, but that your dining room was full of salt, all bouncing about?
Oh, I'd never be able to face them again.
Exactly. And now here comes the scientifically prepared non-bouncing salt. Look at that. One squirt from the old sifter and the lot right in the middle of the T-bone steak. Another bullseye on the French fries. It's brilliant. You see, not one particle of that salt bounced. I don't know how they do it, but it's nice to know that soon we'll all be able to live a life free from the bouncing salt. No doubt other things will soon come to light. Perhaps they'll invent a non-creeping marmalade. I mean, I've known marmalade creep from a piece of toast right around the back of my neck without me knowing it. And I think it's high time we had a non-wandered chocolate. All chocolate is terribly nomadic, really, especially in the summer, in a motor car. I've known plain chocolate wander from the glove compartment right round to the spare wheel on a warm day. Still, we must get on. What's the time?
It is 8 o'clock, and the temperature in balmy downtown Manhattan is 63. The air pollution is down to 5, and the pollen count, by courtesy of the Jewish Hospital, Long Island, is 1. Right. This is just the morning to do a little aerial photography. Yes, you can do that easily in New York. Come on. It's a beautiful morning, and our skyscraper hotel is singing. It's always singing, this big, sad building, singing its melancholic, mechanical, musical heart out. Scoo-ba-doo-ba-doo, ba-doo-ba-doo, scoo-ba-doo-ba-doo, ba-doo-ba-doo, along the corridors and down the lifts. Scoo-ba-doo-ba-doo, ba-doo-ba-doo, into the lobby and down to the restaurant. Scoo-ba-doo-ba-doo, ba-doo-ba-doo. And as we wait for the taxi on the sidewalk, I can hear it singing like a great beehive with 1,000 tidy cells and one big singing bee. Scoo-ba-doo-ba-doo, ba-doo-ba-doo. Here's a cab. Now, this morning, we've arranged to do something that anyone with $10 can do as easily as anything. Take a cab to that towering tombstone in Park Avenue and book yourself a ride in a helicopter that takes off from the roof and twirls to Kennedy Airport. Now, there's no messing about in this skyscraper. It's in fine shape. It's incredibly efficient. 22,000 people come to work every day in this one building alone, and they've all got to be sorted and slithered into their little compartments by 9 o'clock, and then unsorted and slithered out again at 5, so you can't mess about. The entrances are big and glassy. The lifts slip up and down like bubbles in gently simmering water. It's pretty well the last word in modern, clean-cut, forward-thinking, progressive architecture. And for a single, gigantic building where 22,000 people work and eat, it's remarkably inoffensive. That sounds like a rotten compliment, really, but it isn't. Well, take the new skyscrapers that they've just built on 6th Avenue. All black glass and shining steel. Exciting? Yes. Dramatic? Yes. Sensational? Yes. Beautiful? Ah, well, now you're talking. I can't define beauty. All I can say is that without it, all those exciting, dramatic, sensational qualities either become boring or else they drive you mad.
That's why life is generally less worrying and easier with inoffensive buildings. But of course, this morning, this particular skyscraper is exciting as well. Just imagine strolling into the entrance hall, ambling over to the counter in the corner, asking for 4 tickets for the helicopter that takes off from the roof. Yes, sir. Your flight will be called in about 10 minutes. Would you go up to the waiting lounge on the 57th floor? Waiting lounge on the 57th floor. You really feel that you're living in the space age. All those Jeff Hawke strip cartoons are gradually coming true. We step into a glorious metal bubble and go simmering up and up and up and burst gently on the surface of floor 57, the waiting lounge. We can't believe it. The waiting lounge is a perfect reproduction of the interior of an oldie-worldy English country pubby. God blimey. Well, there's nothing else you can say for a second. There's the old familiar scene. Solid oak Windsor wheel-back chairs, splendid oak 17th century tables, great big beefy Elizabethan court cupboards, copper warming pans. I don't know whether to roll about laughing or burst into tears. Well, it's a shock, you see. I mean, one minute I'm in a make-believe space-age world, surging skywards in an express lift, and the next I'm smashed back into the jolly rollicking doublet and hose world of Good Queen Bess. There's nothing wrong with either world, but bunging them both together, bonk, just like that, it's such a poignant reminder of our general discontent, that we're never at the right place at the right time, that we really don't like being where we are now, and we like to think we're somewhere else, back in the past or away in the future. Still, it's very nice to sit and wait in a comfortable oak Windsor chair, way up, almost in the clouds. But we don't have to wait very long. A smart young lady comes over to us and says, "Oh, would you care to go up now, please? The helicopter will be arriving in a few minutes." She points to a shining chromium escalator that sneaks up behind an Elizabethan court cupboard. I must say I hadn't noticed it there before. And we say farewell to the world of Elizabeth and the tavern.
And so, good gentles all, we make our fond goodbyes, for go we hence to hover in the sky.
And we glide up to the roof. No helicopter in sight yet. Now, I don't know if you've ever watched someone start to build a house, but if you look at the foundations at the beginning of the operation, they seem minute. I mean, that tiny little square of concrete, you'll never get a whole house on that. Not with a kitchen and a lounge and a dining room and everything. Oh, no, never in there. You need to make it at least 3 times that size. Well, that's what it seems like. That roof up here seems like that. It's tiny. We've been in the building underneath, I know, and it's enormous. I can't help that. The roof's tiny. You'll never get a helicopter on that. We wait in a little penthouse at the end of the roof. There's a very friendly helicopter landing controller waiting with us.
Won't keep a couple of minutes. It's due in now.
Oh, how big is this helicopter?
Oh, it's big.
How many people does it carry then?
Oh, 25.
25? That's big.
Oh, it's big, all right.
And it lands out on that little roof out there?
Yes, sir. On that little roof out there, at the end of the blue carpet.
Oh, I see. There's a strip of blue carpet running from the penthouse across to the middle of the roof. There's a beautiful carpet, not a wrinkle in it anywhere. How do you keep the carpet so flat?
Oh, it's stuck down.
Oh, you can't take it up when it rains?
Oh, hell no.
So it's out there in the sopping rain and the scorching heat?
Right.
Marvelous carpet.
Right.
How long does it last?
Oh, I don't know exactly. 3-4 months maybe.
Then what happens to it?
We rip it up.
Oh, and put fresh down?
Right.
Expensive pastime, isn't it?
Hell no, we don't have to pay for it. The manufacturers of the carpet put it down for an advertisement.
Oh, I see.
You know what?
No, what?
They wanted to carpet the whole area.
What, the whole roof?
Yeah. They figured it would be a swell advertisement if they put carpet down over the whole area.
Well, why didn't they?
Well, this is classified as an airport, and any alterations or additions to the runways or landing areas have to be notified to the proper authorities.
Ah, and the authorities didn't like the idea.
Oh, hell no, they thought it was great, but they wouldn't allow it. Well, they figured this way. No airport in the whole of the United States is carpeted, and so why the hell? They didn't see why they should be the first to give permission to have an airport carpeted.
Oh, playing safe, eh?
Right.
They thought that everybody would want their airports carpeted. Well, I don't know. I must say, it would brighten up London Airport no end, to drop down through the fog onto 20 acres of the best bright red Axminster. And the Persians would make a smashing job of Tehran Airport with some of their flowery carpets.
Okay, there it is.
It must have come up from behind us because I didn't see it. But there it is, a tremendous helicopter settling down on the roof in front of us. There's plenty of room for it. The two sets of choppers flailing about. I must say it's a nasty, angry-looking machine. It looks half balmy, like a hornet that can't find its way home. And now that they've opened the door of the penthouse, we can hear those crazy choppers slashing the air. The passengers from Kennedy Airport disembark and come ducking down the carpet. There's no need for them to duck at all. The choppers chop away several feet above their heads. And now it's our turn to go aboard. And we walk slowly down the only blue-carpeted airport in the world. It's no good. You've got to duck. It's impossible not to. Those choppers force you into the ground. We practically climb into the helicopter on our knees. But we get aboard all right. A charming air hostess closes the door, and the threshing hornet lifts itself a few feet off the roof, and it just hangs there with its arms gesticulating as though it doesn't know what the dickens to do next. Well, that's what it feels like. And then it edges slowly backwards, like an uncertain horse being forced back into the shafts of a cart. It's quite the most terrifying sensation I've ever experienced, because we are now hanging over the street. It's like one of those frantic Harold Lloyd films. The front wheels of the helicopter are just resting on the parapet of the building, and the body of the machine is hanging, just wagging helplessly over the street, and we're sitting in the tail. There's that nightmare shot of the street, hundreds and hundreds of feet below, little beetle motor cars and tiny pinhead people. And the helicopter, like a character in a comic cartoon, when he's chased over a cliff, he keeps on running in thin air before he sees there's no ground underneath him anymore, and then he goes, "Doo!" and plummets into the terrible void. That's what's going to happen to us. Doo! Oh no. This weird animal suddenly whistles up a tremendous power from somewhere and surges up, banks right and then left, and then it slashes off, carving a great arc around Manhattan. If ever you're in New York and you have $10 to spare, take my advice and try this. I know it scares the pants off you for a few seconds, but it's terrific. Look, we're flying around the Empire State Building, flying up among the skyscrapers. This is the 20th century, all right. Of course we've got to have skyscrapers. They're magnificent things. They really are incredible monuments to our skill, ingenuity, and stubborn will to live. You don't feel this until you fly about amongst them. Well, up here you're on an equal footing, you see. The reason why I've been saying all those horrible things about skyscrapers is because I've always viewed them from street level. And at street level, skyscrapers obviously make you feel diminutive, measly, insignificant. Who do they think they are? The blinking great bullies towering up there, making us crawl around them like little ants. Of course you've got to be horrible to them in self-defense. But up here it's just the opposite. Oh, pity. We're striking off now, away from Manhattan, towards Kennedy Airport. And quite suddenly, the concrete giants begin to shrink. Down, down they go, from 80 stories to 30, to 10, to 2, to 1, to nothing, to less than nothing. Because now we're chopping low over a tremendous cemetery. It's extraordinary. I really thought those tombstones were buildings for a moment, and there must be thousands and thousands of them tucked away down there. I don't think that any air company could have arranged a more dramatic flight, a flight so full of the most obvious symbolism. Purely accidental, of course. But in a couple of minutes they drag right before your very eyes the pageant of man, from his towering marble pinnacle to his lowly stone slab. Very impressive, very impressive. That's Jack Leverett's favourite phrase when he likes what he sees in his viewfinder. Very impressive. He and Frank Burslem have had their cameras running ever since we took off in Manhattan. And they're still running when we return from Kennedy Airport. Here we go again, the pageant of man, but this time in reverse. The tombstones, the low buildings, growing slowly up, and finally shooting up around us. There's our tiny roof down there, with the blue finger of carpet pointing to where we ought to land. It looks impossible. But we slowly dingle, dangle, slither, slide, and drop gently right beside the blue carpet. You have a good trip? Oh, yes. Wonderful.
Good. Have fun.
Thanks. And have fun yourself. Back we go, down the chromium escalator, back into Jolly Jack Falstaff's favourite tavern.
And so, kind gentles all, yet since this day began, we've travelled swift as light through man's allotted span.
And now get we hence out of this Tudor tea room, into our metal orb that falls like a cooling bubble to the street. Wow, that's a wonderful way to start a day. Now what shall we do? Well, there are dozens of things to do in New York. There's Central Park, that's pretty good. And there are all those museums up around Central Park. Still, it's a pity to go inside on a lovely day like this. Well, we can take a boat out of the Statue of Liberty, or a boat ride round Manhattan Island. That ought to be good. Don't forget, we ought to have fun. Oh, yes, we ought to have fun. Well, what do you think? It was then that I saw it in a shop on Fifth Avenue. It was a large brass spinning top, an 8-sided brass spinning top. You remember that old game we all used to play called Put and Take? Well, this is like a put and take top, only instead of having put to, take all, and so on written on it, this top simply has yes and no engraved alternately on each side. And the ticket underneath it says that it is a decision maker. A decision maker. Yeah, I get it. If you have a decision to make, you simply spin the top, and whichever side lands face up, yes or no, then there's your decision for you. Balmy. And yet, it isn't, you know. The longer we stare at the decision maker in the window, the more logical it becomes. I mean, there are times when the old noodle gets addled and can't even decide whether to have another drink or not. That's when you spin your decision maker and hope it comes up yes. If you think about it, there are hundreds of decisions to make every day, and half of them you leave floating about in abeyance, like, shall I phone so-and-so? Yes or no? Spin? No. Good. Shall I skip lunch and just have a sandwich? Spin? Yes. Bother. Well, at least it's being positive, and in America, you must be positive. I wonder if President Johnson's got one. Let's buy one. We go in. Oh, good day, gentlemen. Oh, good day. A decision maker, please. Oh, surely. All you gentlemen want one? No, just one between the four. We're not as undecided as all that. Exactly. Do many people buy decision makers? Oh, yes. We sell a lot of decision makers. Oh, yes. Good, it's nice to know that there are lots of people about who don't know which way to turn. Oh, yes. Well, thank you very much, and goodbye. Goodbye, sir. Come back. Why? What's the matter? Nothing, sir. But you said come back. Yeah, I meant come back again sometime. Oh, I see. Difficult to get used to, that come back. It sounds to be such an order like have fun. Sometimes you get both of them together after you bought something in the store. Well, thank you, and goodbye. Goodbye now. Come back. What? Have fun. Right, now what are we going to decide with our decision maker? We're going to decide where to go. Well, where shall we go? Up to Harlem? We spin the decision maker on the camera case, and it turns up no. Well, shall we go over to the Bowery? We spin it again. No. Well, shall we go out to the Statue of Liberty? Yes. Well, that's it then. It seems to work very well, doesn't it, the decision maker?
Yes, I'm very pleased with it.
Yes, I think this year's model gives better decisions than last year's.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
And we take a cab to the waterfront, and we cruise round Chinatown on the way. Chinatown is a very small oriental pocket of New York. It's just like a little corner of Hong Kong, except that the public telephone boxes are made like little pagodas, and the street lamps have got little pagoda-type lampshades, and in a couple of minutes, we're at the waterfront, the old Battery. There's a boat waiting to take trippers out to the statue, and we go aboard. Now, this is something else that you must do in New York. Visit the Statue of Liberty. A gift from the people of France to the people of the United States. The sculptor was Monsieur Bartholdi. The engineer was Monsieur Eiffel. But there's one thing I mean to find out about the Statue of Liberty. It's worried me for years. Excuse me, can we go up inside?
Oh, sure. Take the elevator to the 10th floor, and then the spiral stairway.
It's quite an experience climbing the spiral stairway. Well, the statue is absolutely hollow. It's made of sheets of copper hammered around a steel skeleton. Up we go, around and around, until we reach the great copper dome head. And we look out through the crown of liberty across the water to Manhattan. When I say that it's a heady experience, I'm not trying to be funny. Here we are in this great copper head, 300 feet above the sea. Look, here comes a helicopter buzzing round our head. That's something else we must do. I'm all for these helicopter trips. Who's that? I'd know that voice anywhere. Of course. It's the Queen Elizabeth. There she sails in the sun for England. And we're watching her go home from the crown of the Statue of Liberty. And I suppose we'd better make our way back to our temporary home. When we get back to our skyscraper hotel that evening, it's still singing itself sadly to sleep.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, Ba-Doo-Ba-Doo, Scooby-Dooby-Doo, Ba-Doo-Ba-Doo.
And next morning, we have the voice again.
We bring you the news on the hour, every hour. The temperature in balmy downtown Manhattan is 63. The air pollution is down to 5. And the pollen count, by permission of the Jewish Hospital, Long Island, is 1.
He's still not trying. No, he's dead scared to kick that daisy around. Well, what do we do today? I spin the decision maker. It says yes.
Right, that's what we do today then. Yes.
Yes, that's what we do today. Yes, that's the great thing about America. It is positive. Yes, it's very positive. Yes.
Johnny Morris, not in Massachusetts as we expected, but nevertheless very positively in America.